None of us knew what they were talking about, and we were all terrified to find out as they were behaving very cryptically. Until one night a man showed up at our house. Our parents introduced Tessa to him, and the way that he looked at her and the rest of us made our skin crawl.
Yeah, any one of them will do.
You better have the money to pay, though.
Tessa instantly put two and two together and figured out that our parents were selling her to this gross stranger. We all could guess what that meant, and we were terrified. Begging was no longer enough. Our parents were now planning on pimping us out, and none of us wanted anything to do with that. We were way too young to be having sex, and we knew that it was incredibly illegal what our parents were doing.
Listen, we can't let them do this to us.
Hi there, my name is Bree and my sisters, and I have lived through a complete nightmare. We were treated worse than livestock, and our parents were the ones that put us through all of this. I know it sounds terrible. I mean, your parents are the ones that should protect you more so than anyone else. But you have to understand that my parents were beyond evil. I don't think that they even saw my sisters and I as human. So I grew up with my three sisters, Tessa, Mary, and Amy. I'm the youngest, and whether it was a good thing or a bad one, I tended to not get the worst of it. Tessa, who was the oldest, got it the worst. When we were younger, they treated us like burdens. We would often keep as quiet as possible to avoid their attention. If we didn't, then it usually didn't end well. Hey Tessa, can we please play hide and seek?
Shh, don't be too loud. If Dad hears you, he'll be upset. He's trying to sleep.
That's too late. You stupid little brats woke me up. I worked all night to feed you ungrateful morons, and you repay me by ruining my sleep. Just wait till I get my hands on you.
We all ran as fast as we could, as we knew that if he caught any of us, that he would beat us until we were unconscious. He was always crankiest when he was tired, and sadly, he seemed to be tired often. That day we didn't return until it was nearly bedtime. When we snuck back into the house, we very carefully made our way up to our rooms. We were amazed when we got into our beds without being discovered. We found out why, though, in the morning. Our father and mother were waiting for us in the kitchen. All of us were hungry, and we were hoping to find some bread for breakfast, but instead we found them waiting for us. Each had a belt in their hand, and they looked at us angrily. They took turns whipping us each with the belts before finally forcing us to sit down at the table to listen to them.
You ungrateful kids. Did you enjoy your little vacation last night away from home? I really hope that you did, because the free ride is done. I'm sick of you pieces of crap getting a free ride while your mother and I do all the work.
Yeah, no more free food. It's time that you pay for your share. Since you can't get real jobs, then you will just have to go and beg for money.
But Mama, we don't know how to do that.
Well, you better figure out how to do it, because if you don't bring home enough money, then we aren't going to give you another piece of food ever again. Now go.
They threatened us with the belts again as we left and rushed to Main Street. We spent several hours begging anyone that walked by for anything they could spare. When we were exhausted and nearly passing out from a lack of food, we finally went home and presented the money we had been given to our parents. We had managed to get almost $100, which felt like a massive fortune at the time, but our parents scoffed at us and treated it like it was mere pennies.
Is this it? You would think that 4 girls could get more than that. Geez, you little pieces of crap are pathetic.
Fine, it's better than nothing. Fine, you can have some bread and water, but tomorrow you better earn more or else.
Each day we would be sent out and spend all day begging on the streets regardless of what weather was like. It didn't matter if it was snowing or raining or swelteringly hot. We still had to go and beg. As the years went on, though, people would give us less and less. People were far more sympathetic towards us when we were younger, but less so as we started to grow up. It was around the time when Tessa turned 15 that things took an even darker turn for us.
What's wrong with you idiots? You had one simple job and you can't even do that right.
Such useless little creatures. Well, I have an idea of how we can make some money off of them.
Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I know exactly what you're getting at. That's a great idea. We'll start with Tessa then?
Haha, yeah.
What do you mean start with me? What are you going to do to me?
This is scary. What are you guys talking about?
Oh, you'll find out when you are older.
None of us knew what they were talking about, and we were all terrified to find out as they were behaving very cryptically. Until one night a man showed up at our house. Our parents introduced Tessa to him, and the way that he looked at her and the rest of us made our skin crawl.
Yeah, Any one of them will do.
You better have the money to pay, though.
Tessa instantly put two and two together and figured out that our parents were selling her to this gross stranger. We all could guess what that meant, and we were terrified. Begging was no longer enough. Our parents were now planning on pimping us out, and none of us wanted anything to do with that. We were way too young to be having sex, and we knew that it was incredibly illegal what our parents were doing.
Listen, we can't let them do this to us. It was bad enough begging every day, but now they are going too far. We need to run.
But what will we do?
That doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. Anything is better than letting that freak come back and get his hands on us.
We all agreed and set out into motion. We knew that our parents wouldn't just let us run away, so Tessa and Mary distracted them while Amy and I ran to the kitchen and grabbed kitchen knives and a rolling pin. With our parents still distracted, I swung the rolling pin down hard onto my mother's head while Amy used the knife she carried to cut our father's ankles. The two fell down in utter pain. While they wailed in agony, the four of us ran out the back door. While we did, we heard the strange man call out to us as he saw us fleeing. We ran as fast as we could, and he jumped into his car and chased after us. It was crazy as we ran towards downtown and hoped that we could lose him, while we ran into the alleys that we had learned while we were begging. After an hour of running, we thought that we had finally lost him. We settled down and rested and tried to catch our breath. Once we had calmed down, we decided that we needed to beg for a bit so that we could make enough money to rent a motel room so we could stay out of sight. We were incredibly grateful when we finally got enough to get a room, and we rushed over to the nearest motel and rented a small one-bedroom. We took turns sleeping, but while Amy was taking her turn to watch, she woke us up and was startled.
You guys need to wake up. Both our parents and that creepy guy are here.
Oh God, no. What are we supposed to do?
I don't know, but we need to figure it out and quick.
We quickly set about finding things to defend ourselves with. Amy and I grabbed the blanket off the bed and put ourselves on either side of the door while Tessa and Mary grabbed anything that was tied down to throw at them should they come into the room. Suddenly, there was a heavy banging on the door.
We know that you are in there. The front desk told us that you rented this room. Now let us in, and we promise to not beat you. As for Tessa, you have no choice. This man paid us good money for you. Now open up. Yeah, come on, little girl. You belong to me.
We will never let you in.
I was so angry that our parents would put us in this situation. Suddenly, the door started rattling and the hinges began groaning as they began trying to force their way into the room. Bang after bang, until finally the door burst open. The stranger was the first into the room, and he ran towards Tessa when he saw her. Amy and I pulled the blanket tight and tripped him. As he fell to the ground, his pockets emptied out and a handgun fell to the ground in front of me. I instantly scooped it up and pointed it at the stranger, and I pulled the trigger twice. Both bullets hit him in the chest and he stopped moving. Our parents were next through the doorway and they charged towards Tessa as well because they thought that she had the gun. They hadn't seen me, and since I was blinded by rage, I pointed the gun at them and pulled the trigger several times. Both were hit many times before falling to the ground. I didn't realize what I had done until I saw them laying motionless on the ground. All of us panicked except Tessa, who grabbed the gun from me, and then she wiped it down with the bedsheet before placing it in the hands of the dead stranger. We then ran out of the room and headed home. We didn't know what to expect, but we raided the kitchen and just ate our food before going to bed. Before the sun came up, we heard a knock at the front door. Slowly, we made our way there and checked it to see that it was a police officer. He was very kind, and he told us that he wasn't certain what had happened, but our parents were involved in a shooting with a known criminal, and not only had he died, but they had also died. He was very sorry for our loss, but that we needed to go with him. The next few weeks were a blur mostly. Surprisingly, no one mentioned that we had rented the room or anything, and no one suspected that we were involved in the shooting. For me, I was left haunted by what I did, even though a big part of me knew that I was at the very least partially justified. Eventually, we were put into foster homes, and thankfully we were able to grow up without any more crazy drama, but all of us were scarred just a little. The years passed, and we grew up. My sisters were always very grateful for what I did, and although it gives me nightmares every now and then, I will say that if I could go back in time and choose whether or not to do it again, that I would not change a thing. When I got accepted into an advanced class, my dad literally yawned in response.
An advanced class, huh? It better not cost us any money. We need to pay for Jake and his friends to go camping next month. Thanks, Dad. That trip is really important to me, but at any rate, who cares? No one likes nerds, Denise.
I care. It took a lot of effort and hard work to be accepted into the class, and don't worry, it doesn't cost anything. But it will help out later when I apply for college.
Oh, okay. That's good because we really can only afford to pay for the trip right now.
Oh my God, Dad. What is even the purpose for the trip? What did Jake do to earn the right for such an expensive trip?
He works really hard in school, and he could use the break to unwind and relax.
That's it?
Yeah, moron. Mom and Dad don't want me becoming a basket case like you, so they make sure that I don't become stressed out.
My blood was boiling, and my parents and Jake just laughed. They were clearly amused by how irritated I was. As we got older, Jake only got worse. He realized that no matter what he did, our parents would always take his side. So he took full advantage of it. He bullied me constantly, stealing my things, blaming me for his mistakes. And every time, my parents defended him. Hey there, my name is Denise, and I always knew my family loved my brother more. It wasn't even subtle. From the time we were kids, my parents made it painfully clear that they preferred Jake over me. I don't know if it was because he was their son, or if there was some other reason. It really didn't matter. But Jake was always the one who could do no wrong, the one who deserved everything he wanted. And me? I was just the extra, the shadow in the background. At first, I thought it was in my head. I wanted to believe my parents loved us equally, but as I got older, the truth became impossible to ignore. For example, when I was 8, I spent weeks preparing for the school spelling bee. I practiced every day, studied every word, and when the big day came, I won first place. I came home, beaming with pride, clutching my little gold trophy. I was so proud of my accomplishment, but the way my parents reacted deflated my ego. Mom, Dad, I won.
You won? What did you win?
The spelling bee that I have been practicing for. I won first place.
Oh, that's nice, sweetie. But did you hear? Jake made the soccer team. We're going out to celebrate his achievement by treating him to pizza. I suppose we'll bring some back for you too.
I stood there, trophy in hand, as they rushed over to him, showering him with praise. He hadn't even played a game yet. He had just made the team. I swallowed my disappointment and rushed to my bedroom crying. Maybe next time, I thought. Maybe, if I worked even harder, they'd notice me. But they never did. When Jake got a B on his report card, my parents threw a celebratory party. When I got straight A's, silence. When I got accepted into an advanced class, my dad literally yawned in response.
An advanced class, huh? It better not cost us any money. We need to pay for Jake and his friends to go camping next month. Thanks, Dad. That trip is really important to me, but at any rate, who cares? No one likes nerds, Denise.
I care. It took a lot of effort and hard work to be accepted into the class, and don't worry, it doesn't cost anything. But it will help out later when I apply for college.
Oh, okay. That's good because we really can only afford to pay for the trip right now.
Oh my God, Dad. What is even the purpose for the trip? What did Jake do to earn the right for such an expensive trip?
He works really hard in school, and he could use the break to unwind and relax.
That's it?
Yeah, moron. Mom and Dad don't want me becoming a basket case like you, so they make sure that I don't become stressed out.
My blood was boiling, and my parents and Jake just laughed. They were clearly amused by how irritated I was. As we got older, Jake only got worse. He realized that no matter what he did, our parents would always take his side. So he took full advantage of it. He bullied me constantly, mocking me, stealing my things, blaming me for his mistakes. And every time, my parents defended him. Once when I was 12, Jake pushed me down the stairs. I sprained my wrist and had to wear a brace for weeks. He pushed me.
It was an accident. Stop being so dramatic. Yeah, Denise, you should really watch where you're going. You really should, Denise. I hope you know that we fully expect you to pay us back. Your medical bills weren't free, you know?
He had attacked me and caused pain and suffering, and I was expected to foot the bill for it. I could see the smug look on his face. He knew he would always get away with it. And he did. Then there was the time that both Jake and I attended a party. It was the one time that we did anything remotely together. We of course traveled there separately, as he wouldn't dream of being seen with me. At any rate, we got home around the same time. It was after our curfew, but since Jake was also late, I had assumed that it wouldn't be a big deal. But nope, I was wrong.
Denise, are you coming home at 1 a.m.?
Yeah. Sorry, Dad. The party went later than I expected, but both Jake and I got home safe and sound.
Don't try to blame him for this. You have no excuses for misbehaving like this.
I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that he is also coming home late.
Yeah, but it's cool, right, Dad? Of course, Jake. Boys will be boys after all.
All I could do was roll my eyes. Meanwhile, Jake just walked into the house, and when I went to follow him in, my father pushed me backwards and then slammed the door in my face and locked me out. I was beyond angry. Both of us were out past curfew, but I was the only one being punished. What was worse was that I was sober and hadn't been drinking, but Jake was wasted and my dad didn't even care. We were both underage, but somehow, I was still the villain. Jake grew up into a selfish, arrogant jerk, completely incapable of taking responsibility for anything. He barely graduated high school, jumped from job to job, and still, my parents worshipped him. Meanwhile, I worked my ass off. I got into college, earned a degree, and built a life for myself. But no matter how much I achieved, it was never enough for them. I had been living on my own for a few years, finally free from my family's constant favoritism. But they still found ways to disrupt my life. Jake was constantly asking for money, and my parents always expected me to help.
Denise, can you lend Jake some money? He's having a rough time.
Mom, he's always having a rough time. Besides, I just gave him money last month. What happened to that?
Sweetie, you know how hard things are for him. He's trying his best.
But what did he even spend the $2,000 on that I lent him?
Oh, he went partying, I think. But he's working so hard that he needed to have a little fun. You understand, right?
I was fuming. I really needed that money, and I knew that Jake would never pay me back. Jake wasn't trying at all. He was spending all his money on partying and bad decisions, knowing our parents would always bail him out. And then came the worst moment of all. I had just bought my first house. It was the proudest moment of my life. I had worked so hard to afford it, and it was finally mine. Then one evening, my parents showed up with Jake.
Denise, we need a favor.
Really? I'm shocked. What is the favor?
Jake's landlord kicked him out. He needs a place to stay.
I laughed. A full, bitter laugh. You cannot be serious.
He's your brother.
And? He's a grown man. He can figure it out.
Don't be selfish, Denise. Family helps each other.
I looked at Jake. He was smirking. He knew exactly how this would play out. He was confident they would guilt me into letting him move in. But not this time. I had had my fill of their nonsense, and I was no longer going to play along with it. No, absolutely not. There is no way I will let that jerk into my home. They were stunned. They had never heard me say no before.
Denise, please. He has nowhere else to go.
That's not my problem. Jake's smirk faded.
You're such a beach, you know that? How can you be so selfish?
Ha, that's rich. Well, it's been nice, but I would like to be left alone. Leave my property or I'll call the police. That was it. That was my breaking point. I had spent my whole life being ignored, used, and manipulated. But now, I was done playing nice. If they wanted to see a selfish Denise, I would show them one. Jake still owed me over $15,000 from all the loans I had given him over the years, so I filed a lawsuit against him for the full amount. He didn't take it seriously until he got the court notice. Thankfully, I had a friend that was a lawyer that had agreed to help me for free. Sending out the subpoenas made my heart soar as I knew that justice would finally be served. The day after he received the subpoenas, Jake and my parents came to confront me.
Are you kidding me, Denise? You're actually suing me? I don't even have a place to live, let alone $15,000.
That's not really my problem. You need to pay me back or deal with the consequences. My parents were furious.
How could you do this to your own brother?
How could he leech off of us without ever growing up? How could you raise such a failure? I get that you're upset, but I need that money. And unlike Jake, I won't squander it on stupid, useless crap. Jake tried to ignore the lawsuit, but it didn't go away. On the day the court was to hear my case, he didn't even bother to show up. As a result, the court ruled entirely in my favor, and I was awarded not only the $15,000, but also interest as well. Of course, he didn't have any money, so his wages at the minimum wage job that he had started getting garnished. Desperate, Jake turned to his friends. He had been hanging out with some really rough people, and they listened to his problems and gave him a terrible solution. They told him that all he had to do to clear up his money problems was to rob a bank. And of course, that is exactly what he and his stupid friends did. They got masks and guns and actually even pulled it off. I don't know how much money they actually got, but it must have been a lot, as he immediately began to spend it like it was burning a hole in his pocket. He of course didn't use any of it to pay me back, and instead just started partying. He was drinking all the time and doing drugs. Of course, he and his friends weren't seasoned criminals, and during the robbery, they left all kinds of evidence behind, and the police were able to figure out who the culprits were very easily. Jake, at the time, was laying low at our parents' house. I know for a fact that they knew what he had done, but they loved him so much that they were willing to harbor a criminal and look the other way. Within a few weeks of living like a king in my parents' basement, the police paid Jake a visit and started asking questions. Jake freaked out, and a tense standoff followed, which led to a gunfight in which Jake was killed. My parents were thankfully not home at the time, but police charged them with harboring a fugitive, and they were sent to prison for a couple years as a result. By the time they were released from prison, they had lost everything: their house, their savings, and their jobs. Desperate for money, they came to my company looking for employment. They thought that I would take pity on them since they had lost a son, and I had lost a brother, but they were mistaken. I did hire them, but I assigned them the hardest, most grueling tasks imaginable. When they couldn't keep up, I fired them without pay and cut off all contact. Eventually, they were forced to leave town as they couldn't afford to live in the small, cramped apartment that they had found after living in prison. They traveled to go stay with distant relatives, but unfortunately, karma wouldn't let them leave without paying them a visit, and they got into a car crash on the way. The crash left my mom seriously hurt, and as a result, her leg had to be amputated. Since then, my dad works for a construction company and takes care of her. I can't imagine that they are very happy with their lives, and I have heard from my aunt who they are staying with that they whine and cry every night, and that she is near to the point where she will kick them out. And as for me, without their toxic presence in my life, I excelled at work, made new friends, and even started traveling, something I had always dreamed of, but never had the courage to do. Years later, my mom tried to reach out again.
Denise, please, we miss you. Can't we fix this?
I thought about everything they had put me through. The years of neglect, the favoritism, the way they treated me like I was nothing while they worshipped Jake. Then, I responded, "No, I don't need you anymore. I just wish that I had realized that I never did when I was younger. I probably would have had a much happier life. Goodbye, Mom." And I never looked back. I used to think I had to earn my family's love, that if I worked hard enough, if I was successful enough, they'd finally see my worth. But the truth? Some people will never respect you. Some people will never love you the way you deserve. And the best revenge? Living a life so good they hate that they're not part of it. I spent my whole life trying to prove myself to them, but in the end, the only person I needed to prove anything to was me. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.